We are live on Proline TV for this Tuesday, July 15th, 2025, to preview the Open Championship, also known as the British Open. And it's great to bring in our special golf analyst, Hall of Famer, Jan Stevenson, to help us to preview this prestigious event. Jan, good to see you again.
It's good to see you, Greg. I still think of it as the British Open. It's hard for me to call it the Open Championship.
Yeah, I kind of did that for a long time. And then I was like, well, everybody's calling it the Open Championship. And I started doing that. But I think it is important because the average person who you are reaching doesn't really know that distinction. They know the British Open.
Right. I know when they go, what's the Open Championship? US Open. You go, no, the British Open. They go, oh, okay.
Yeah. No reason to confuse new people. They have a hard enough time following sports, especially like golf. But anyway, we have a different little way that we're going to do this here today. As you know, if you've been watching some of our shows in the past, you see that we use the Fantasy National model to set up our picks. And so I felt this was a great opportunity to take the expertise from Jan Stevenson, build the model right here as we're doing it. Now, I do have my picks, so I've already done those. I'm going to go ahead and pop them up now, but Jan might, of course, change my mind after I take a look at some of this stuff. But these are also going to be, this is the model here, but we're also going to show you Jared's picks because Jared is under the weather, I should say. And so just dealing with a little bit of a sore throat and could not make it here. He was really trying to get the opportunity. Of course, it's a big event. He really wanted to be here. So I do have Jared's picks up here, John Rahm, Victor Hovland, and Russell Henley. Here are the key trends that we'll also go over if you want to take a look at those. And these are my picks here, as I have not gone with one American. So I just realized that. I go, wait a second, I didn't even go with one American player. I guess I got to.
That might be pretty true, too.
Yeah. So those are my picks. And then again, we're going to go ahead and to find out whether or not I'm going to have a change of heart as we go through this model here. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this done. I haven't done this in a while, so let me go ahead here. Okay, I'm going to create a new model. Okay, so we're going to go with 2025 British Open. Okay, all right, so what we're going to do now is open up all the stats, Jan. So we've got the opportunity to decide. So here are the keys. Here's several key stats, and obviously we're not going to use them all. So we're going to use 1, 2, maybe 3, depending on how you think that this golf course represents better the best these stats that we need to use. In other words, strokes gained total stats, tee to green, ball striking, off the tee, strokes gained approach, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay.
Which one of these stats here do you think is the most important for this particular golf course?
Shot to the green.
So that would be, would that be this one? Strokes gained? Strokes gained or?
No, it's going to be.
Tee to green? Total?
No.
Around the green? Approach?
No. Approach.
Strokes gained approach. Okay. And why is that?
I'll tell you why. Do you want to know why?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, okay. Well, the golf course, typically in a major, you want someone that hits a lot of fairways. And on this, not that part's still the same. But the problem is the players that have the best drivers don't get to hit their driver that much. So a Rory and a Scheffler maybe only hit their driver 50% of the time on this golf course because of the putt bunkers and the trouble. They're going to have to lay up with either a hybrid or a long iron. So that takes away their strength. And and then when Shane won, he was 83% on hitting greens from approach shots. And the next person was in the low 70s. So he was that much ahead of everybody else.
And that was in 2019, the last time they were at Portrush. Okay.
Correct. And so it's one of those courses. The greens are a little different to typical links courses. You think of the St. Andrews, they're big greens, but they're don't have that much undulation. These have a little more undulation. But clearly you want to be on the green. Okay.
Now, do you believe that we need to use another one of these, or do you want to move on and we can always circle back? You do have another one.
I believe that the short game, chipping.
Around the green?
around the green.
Okay.
It's
Oh, wait a
number
second.
2.
I have to hold on a second. I forgot to do that. That was what did we just use? What was
We
the
used
first one?
approach.
Approach. Okay. Okay. And now we're going to do around the green.
Yes.
Okay. And why are we doing around the green?
Around the green is that because of these greens, they're not quite as big as St Andrews. There's going to be a lot of pitching and the famous saying in tour golf is that America plays it in the air, Britain plays it on the ground. So you're going to have, because of the wind and the rain that usually you have when you play in Scotland and Ireland.
That's what we love about it.
Yeah, is that you're gonna miss greens, and you're gonna have a lot of these greens aren't quite as big as typical. So you're gonna have a lot of chipping, because I would have picked Victor Hovland because he's hitting his irons so well right now.
Which Jared did. And
but-
which I was going to, and then Jared took him, and I said, Jared has him, and I don't like to do the piggyback picking, but
Okay.
he does look like a really good pick this week.
And the only problem is that his pitching and his bunkers are still a little bit questionable. I mean, he's worked really hard on it, but it's still his weakness.
Okay.
But he's going to be he's really hitting his irons beautifully. He's actually swinging really well. So he's someone, and again, I'm like you in playing people that are overseas people, is that they're used to that. They're used to bad conditions, even though they play in America now. They grew up in those conditions.
Yep.
And it's going to rain. I mean, it looks like the wind is going to be down, but I know that the players are talking about depending on their tee times. You know how we go on usually the early lates and the late earlies, but in Asia, in Europe, we're always talking about weather. So a lot of it's going to depend on that. That's why Scheffler would be a favorite, because he's a great chipper, but he's number one, he's not driving it great anyway. And he slips in the rain.
Interesting. Okay. And you think it's possible we're going to see rain almost every day?
I think so. I think according to what I've talked to some of the caddies, they're saying they're going to have a heavy bag because they have to put their rain gear in the bag.
Okay.
And an umbrella, which makes the bag another 20 pounds heavier.
That's always great. Well, that's good though. I don't want to see. Nobody wants to see an event over in Europe like we saw in. I think even the whole Scottish Open was like sunny. I don't want to see that. I don't see sunny conditions in Scotland or in Ireland. I want to see it nice and rainy and cloudy, and that's what I want to see.
Yeah, well, I think they're going to get it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's add another stat. So let's see. Let me move around first to see. We could always circle back. So any of these that you want to go with, you don't have to pick any of these. These are not ones that we normally pick. So any of these, just bogey avoidance, double. You don't really. These aren't really the most popular ones. So you want to pass on these?
Yeah,
Okay.
That doesn't really matter.
How about here?
Maybe a wind or rain player, someone that's used to. I don't know if they have that.
Yeah, I don't see that. Let's see.
Bad weather.
There might be a lot of those intricate kind of stats in here that I'm not an expert at this yet, but these are the basic ones. Okay.
The basic two on. I only played Royal Portrush once, and it was raining, which was typical. I didn't want to play because it was raining, and all the caddies started laughing at me, the local caddies. I said, well, I don't want to play in the rain, and they all started laughing.
Yeah,
said,
right.
Well, I guess you're not going to play it. And I said, okay, I'll play it. But the good thing for me was that I was playing on the men's tees back then when I played it, and I didn't get in any of the pot bunkers or the trouble, so I could hit my driver, and I was okay. But these guys can. And so they're going to be backed off of being able to use their powers. Their strength is their length. So then if you go by that, it may not be a long hitter that wins. So it might be like I noticed that Jared had, or you did, have Taylor Pendrith. But, Morikawa's a shorter hitter, and I'm not crazy about his golf swing. Since Shuffles, I call him Shuffle, but Xander has hurt his wrist. I would have said he was a favorite, but his wrist isn't still good. So
Yeah, you could tell he's not on his game, and he also won last year. It's so difficult to win back to back, so
yeah.
it's almost impossible. Okay, so let us see. Should we put in either sand saves or scrambling, or those are sometimes we would use, or do you want to just stick with around the green? And not that we're going to remove around the green, but do you want to add sand saves or scrambling, or you don't think that that's necessary?
We can add scrambling.
Okay. And why would you want to add scrambling?
Well, because it's one of those golf courses where, you have to scramble. No matter what, you're going to get a bad break. I mean, everybody talks about you get so much bad luck. It seems like, you're going to get a bad bounce. And so it's almost like instead of scrambling, I'd like to see someone that keeps calm and collected like a Scheffler but he even lost it the other day. So he lost it at the Open when he got a lot of bad breaks, but that's because I didn't like the way they changed the golf course, because you didn't have to do that at the Open because it's such a great golf course, and I think they didn't do a very good job with the renovation. But anyway, it's got to be someone that's cool, calm, and collected, or maybe, I think the winner's going to may come from behind, but not too far behind. Someone like a Tommy Fleetwood, he would win if his score is already in, because he's playing well. But look how badly he played coming down the stretch in Connecticut. He just totally got so nervous, and on 16 and 18, he gave it away.
Yeah.
And so I don't, I think he's playing well enough to win, but I don't know that he can take the pressure.
But I think you make a good point, and we've seen this before in these majors. I mean, Webb Simpson did it in the U.S. Open many years ago, where if you haven't won the big one yet, and you do have problems winning the big one, the best thing is get in early. You don't have all that pressure. You're not winning, and then you post a score and let everybody else screw up, and you're in better shape. That leads me to scoring. What kind of a score do you think we're going to have here? Is this going to be a single digit, a high double digit? What are we looking at? Or perfect, like somewhere in the minus 13 to 15 range?
Yeah, I think it'll be under par. What did Shane Lowry win at?
I want to say, let's see.
He was quite a few ahead.
I'll go check that out while we let me go check that out.
But I do think it's going to be someone is used to these conditions, because you've got to do a lot of kind of running up and chipping. That's why the scrambling's probably good. You're going to have to, it's one of those ones where you can't, because of the ground, you can't use your lob wedge because of the bounce. The bounce that's going to hit, it might be firm underneath. They don't typically have irrigation systems on a lot of these courses. I think they do now, but it's very firm. But even though it's been raining a lot, when you get around the greens, there's a few false fronts that you typically don't get in links golf.
Okay.
But the thing is, you still have to you can't just hit a lob wedge or a sand wedge. You're going to have to figure out either shut the face of one if you don't want to pitch and run it, or you're going to have to take like a 7-iron and run it up the false fronts. Okay. And that takes imagination. It takes you being used to doing it, growing up with it. I think Jon Rahm is desperate to win, to be relevant again. And so this is probably a good course for him because he can do that. I think Bryson has no shot because Bryson isn't used to it. And he keeps having to change his game plan.
No shot. Okay.
So, I say that, and then
No, well, we get you. So.
My opinion is, the way he started the Masters. The Masters, the Augusta National's wide open, and he got on the last day. He got on Saturday. He started getting shot with his irons and hitting a big hook.
Yeah,
pulling it.
Incredible. Yes.
He was really shot. I was surprised that he couldn't figure out what was wrong with his swing, but he's not the type that can adjust easily. He's never played that kind of golf, and he'd have to spend 3 weeks over here to figure out how to hit those run-up pitch little run shots that all the Europeans and especially the British are used to doing. And for that reason, I mean, an Englishman hasn't won since Faldo, right? In over there. So they're all pretty desperate to win. You know, Justin Rose needs it for his last one, and he's playing well. And obviously Tommy. And I mean, I'm going to probably do Tyrrell Hatton because in my one and done, because he's playing well and he's obviously used to it. And he's used to this kind of condition.
Yes, that's true.
My concern with him is that he's temper, you know, because you're going to get really crummy bounces. You get these things where it's going down the middle of the fairway and it just bounces into a pot bunker and you're dead. Yeah. And there's nothing you can do about it, you know? And so you have to be really, that's why him and Jon Rahm are probably not shouldn't be my picks, but I do like them. And that's, again, you go back to Victor Hovland. He doesn't seem to really lose it that badly. I mean, Scheffler does, but I don't think this course is good for him, the rain.
Yeah, taking a look at, let's see, DeChambeau missed the cut here in 2019 at 5 over. The winning score, by the way, was 15 under par.
Yeah, I knew that he ran away with it. Didn't he win like by 4 or 5 shots?
6 strokes.
Yeah.
Yep. And that was boring, of course, for everybody outside of the Shane Lowry Ireland fans who were soaking it up.
Exactly. But, you know, the reason why he was way ahead in greens hit, way ahead.
Okay.
So he was 83%. I think the next person was in the 70s, was like way down in the mid 70s.
So the last 2 years, the scores were 9 under and 13 under. But Cameron Smith won at 20 under in 2022 at St. Andrews, but that's St. Andrews. And then you had 15 under for both Lowry and Morikawa. So is that what you're expecting? Even though, keeping in mind that Lowry ran away with it at 15 under. So
yeah, I think it's going to be like 12 or 13. I think they made the course a little bit longer.
Okay.
So they pulled back a couple of the par fives. I know they did that. So I think I think 13 under is going to be the max, especially if it's raining.
Hatton, by the way, was 6th in 2019. He has 4 top 20s in his last 8 opens, including an 11th, a 6th, and a 5th. So this is no surprise that this is his best major. It makes a lot of sense because there's all the familiarities that you talked about. And Jon Rahm is also a really good pick that I was considering that Jared went with. Coming off another top 10 on LIV. He hasn't won yet this year, which is crazy, but he was second last week. And in his last 5 opens, he has 4 that are 11th or better, including a 2nd and a 3rd. So he has never won the Open Championship, and yet he is getting really close to doing it. He was 11th here in 2019. So
I like him. I think, and then you've got 2 others. I think Matt Fitzpatrick and Justin Rose.
Well, those are my picks.
Yeah, I like Matt Fitzpatrick very much for this because he's playing really well. You've got to have 2 things going for you right now. You've got to be in form, and you've got to be putting well. And I think this is the best I've seen him putt in a long time, and Justin Rose really needs it. So I like him. I mean, I took Adam Scott last week, and Adam's hitting it beautifully, and I'd say his game into the greens is good, but he's just not a good enough putter.
Yeah, that's always been his problem. Fitzpatrick, meanwhile, has never had a top 10 in an Open, but he does have 3 top 30s, and you have to keep in mind that having success like top 10 success in British Opens is not important in order to win an Open Championship.
Well, I mean, this year's been really crazy anyway. I mean, some of the people that have won tournaments weren't even in my, way off radar. Yeah. I mean, it's really like, look at Gotterup. Who would have picked him?
Yes.
I mean, he's never had a top 10 and he wins he beats Rory. I mean, Rory's driving wasn't very good, but didn't really put any pressure on him, but still, he won it.
Yep. So if you can have these long shots winning these bigger events, and of course a Fitzpatrick or some of these other guys can win it, there's no doubt about that. So yeah, that is a great point. We need to keep an eye on. By the way, Fitzpatrick, as you said, his game is trending in the right direction with back-to-back top 10s coming in. He was 20th here in 2019, which was actually one of his better results in Open Championship play. Let's see if we can wrap up these stats. So let's see. Any more of these before we wrap up on this end? Total, tee to green, ball striking, off the tee, or you think we're good here?
I think we're good.
Okay. Now I know there's one that I wanted to look at. Let's see. And these are these. Let's go to iron play right here. Okay. So which iron play do you think is important the most? 175 to 200 yards, 200 or more, 150 to 175. Which area here as far
I
as
like
yardage?
the 170.
175 to 200.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to add
If
that.
it's raining and they've made the course longer, that's going to be a good one.
Okay. And let me see if there's anything else. Will either a par 3, a par 4, or a par 5 yardage stats come into play at this event? Because
I think the par 4s.
Okay.
The par 4s, because the par 3s, you're all going to be on a tee, and you can pick which side of the tee you want to be on depending where the hole location is. But par 4s, you've got to be coming from the fairway.
Okay. What yardage?
It's probably the 150 to 175.
No, I mean, we have the par 4 yardage. So I'm talking from the beginning of the tee. So we're talking at anywhere from 4 to 450, 450 to 5, or 500 or more.
4 to 450.
4 to 450. Okay. And that's what we're going to do. So now what we're going to do is we have to put these 5 stats and we have to put them in order of percentage of, so we've got so let's start here and tell me which one out of these 5 is the most important. You got strokes gained, you got approach, you got around the green, you've got scrambling.
Clearly the most important.
Okay. So let's keep this right around here. Second most important.
Around the green.
Okay, we'll just keep that there. Next up, between the next 3. Scrambling, iron play, par 4.
Iron play.
Okay, let's keep this.
And par 4.
Par 4 is next. Okay. And then scrambling. Okay, I think we got it. All right, so approach, around the green, iron play, par 4, scrambling. I think that's good. Let's keep it at that. Okay, there's our model. All right, now let's go ahead. I like to have it around the last 12 rounds. So that's the last 3 events. Okay, so based on those stats, we're now going to take a look at the players that rank the best. Now, this is going to go by odds right here. So these are the players. Scottie Scheffler's the favorite and so forth. So if I click the model rank, though, we're going to go by who is best on your model, just in the last 12 rounds. And we've got Matsuyama, Scheffler, Henley, Hovland. We got my boy, Matteo. I like to see that. There's a long shot. Brian Campbell. Who the hell thought he'd have 2 wins this year? And then the rest is your boy, Tyrrell Hatton. He's 8th. Let's see. Who else do we have here? Was anyone else?
Where's Justin Rose?
Where is Justin Rose?
Wow.
Actually, let me do it this way because it's a lot easier. I'll move it to, again, that's just the last 12 rounds. So let me just move it to 8, and then this way we could easier to find the player. Okay, Rose is not good here with your stats, with your model. As you can see here, these are all of his stats with those 5 that you just made. So it's not good for Justin. Let's see. I also have Straka in my top 5.
Oh, Straka's a good one. He's playing really well.
Yeah, I've got Straka. He's middle of the road here.
And he's got a good attitude. He just doesn't get too upset. He's actually one where attitude is a good one because he doesn't seem to get that upset. And he's used to bad weather. Look where he came from.
That's true. Russell Henley. Now, this is Jared's long shot pick. He is number 1 in your model.
Wow.
And Russell Henley, he has 2 top 20s in 10 Open championships, including a 5th last year. That was his best ever British Open was last year. And in his last 3 events on tour, he was 2nd at the Travelers, 10th at the US Open, and 5th at Memorial.
Wow.
So Russell Henley is really, now he hasn't played well at the majors most of the year until the 10th at the US Open. So that was important. And so I can understand why Jared would like him here, because I actually talked about him liking him at, I think, the US Open, because he was a pretty big long shot. And he is here too. I think he's like 60-1 or something like that. So what do you think about Russell Henley as a long shot?
I actually love that. The only thing is he's one of those ones that's going to have to get in early, or, I don't know that he can take the lead.
Yep, that's true.
Coming down the stretch. That's a hard thing to do. I mean, what's one thing Scheffler and Rory are really good at.
And there's Hovland, 3rd in your model. So that makes a lot of sense. There's
I may
Tyrrell
have to
Hatton.
change to Hovland.
What was that?
I may have to change from Tyrrell to Hovland.
Oh, it may be. Well, Hatton's 7th, so he's really good with your model as well. McIntyre, who's in my picks, he's 32. Again, these are just last 8 rounds. Let's go ahead and change them to, I don't know. Give me a round that you want to change it to. We could do 24. We could do last 4.
No, I think it's got to be the last ones you said. But I mean,
last 8 or 12
for the year. Who's the best iron player to the green?
How many rounds? 8, 12,
more,
24, 36, 24. Okay. You want to see the iron? Okay. Let's see. Here we go. Victor Hovland.
Yeah, he's a good one.
Patrick Reed wouldn't be a bad long shot either.
No, that's true.
He's 80-1.
And he's good at short game.
Yeah, Reed has actually been playing pretty well. He just won recently over on Live.
Oh, he did win the Live. Oh, good.
Yeah, he won, I think, at Dallas maybe a couple of weeks ago. He was 10th last week. And he was, let's see. Oh, his best Open result was in 2019 when he finished 10th. So Patrick Reed is not a bad long shot play to keep an eye on. Scheffler, by the way, is number 1 at this model rank at the last 24 rounds, which is not a surprise. It's Scotty Scheffler.
Right. But then that's because he's usually hits it so far. He's not driving it very well right now.
Well, that's good for the rest of the field. We like to hear that.
The last 2 tournaments, I didn't like his swing. I think he was trying to swing too hard. I wish he wouldn't work on his, he's got that slide, which saves his golf swing. But I know they're trying to stop him having that funny slide, and that actually is good for his golf swing.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Does anybody really serious? If anybody wants to change anything about Scotty Scheffler, hit him in the head. Get him away from him. Just stay away.
Well, he has, we all tease about his coach that he's had since he was about 13, and his coach has never changed him. He should have changed it a long time ago, but
yes,
because they say he never tries to change it. But
good.
I think maybe personally, Scotty doesn't want them to remember that funny slide.
Oh, all right. Well, I tell you what, Scotty, why don't you make a nice, pretty swing, and then you'll be ranked 50th in the country. How about that? Will you be more satisfied with that?
Yeah.
Dummies. They got too much time on their hands. That's what the problem is. Too much time in their hands with golf. So golf. I can't keep doing the same thing over and over and over and over again. I got to try something different. All right. Let's talk about putting. Okay. Because this is important. What kind of greens are these?
They're not as fast as normal.
Okay.
So they're never going to be as fast as we have over here. And these greens are a little more, like I said, they're a little more undulated than typical links courses. Usually links courses are just big and kind of flat and just pushed up. These are a little bit more, it's a later style, modern, a little bit more modern. That it's going to be, the good thing is they're not that fast. So you can be aggressive. In fact, usually the Americans they can never get it to the hole. It takes them forever to figure it out. Seems like they're always short. So it's going to be people that are aggressive. So
Okay.
John Rahm, he's a pretty aggressive putter. And putting isn't as bigger deal, but
Okay.
it's hard to putt when it's raining. Because you've got the droplets dropping off your visor or your hat, and it's really annoying. And who's going to wear a rain suit? I mean, the rain suits have become great. They're lighter and much less restrictive, but they're still a nuisance to wear. And a lot of players don't even want to wear them. They just want to let their sweater get wet and change sweaters.
Yeah, I can understand that. Okay, so
I hated playing in the rain. I was horrible in the rain.
That's why. Yeah, I can see that. All right, so what kind of greens are they, by the way? Are they bent, Bermuda, POA?
Well, I think it's a Tift Wolf. I don't think it's Tiff Eagle, and they might be bent, but I doubt it.
Oh, all right.
I haven't looked. I didn't really even look at that.
All right, let me check.
But they're slow bent. They're slow, whatever they are. I know when I played there, even though it was in really good condition it was a Pro-Am, and they seemed like I was hitting. I kept saying, "Don't forget to hit it." So they don't have as big a breaks as our greens over here.
All right, let's see if I can get the exact kind of greens here, because I'll need that to put it in here. Let's see. What? By the way, what other what Portrush is it famous for anything? If you go to Portrush, do they say, okay, this hole is the biggest, the most important hole at Portrush because of, or is there something at Portrush?
That's a good point. No, it's beautiful. I mean, it's very pretty there. I mean, the scenery will be good. They'll show some good scenes. And when I played there, it was raining, like I said, and so the greens were very slow. But it was beautiful. It's just that when you're cold and wet, it doesn't, you don't remember it as that pretty. I mean, I remember a lot of Irish courses and playing in Ireland, but that one I didn't like playing in the rain. Even in the Pro-Am, I kept saying, when are we going to stop, because the course feels like it's getting under water? And they went, no, you don't stop in Ireland. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, it was funny watching that. What was that? The movie, the Bobby Jones one, I really liked.
Oh yeah,
the one when it shows you how pissed off he was when he first went there, and how he walk off the green. I walked off the course that time. He was so frustrated and thought that the golf course was terrible, and
well, it's not in good shape, and back then when Bobby Jones played, they didn't. They had no irrigation system.
Sure.
So if they had a dry summer, the place was just. I mean, even last week, look at the Scottish. It was brown. I mean, it was brown, and it ran a lot, which they like. It was very hard underneath, but it's really hard to chip off it when it's brown.
All right, let's see. I think it's bent grass, by the way. So
but Royal Portrush is a little greener than the Renaissance, or the Renaissance.
Why am I not getting this here? No, I don't want that. There we go. Okay. So let me just start from scratch on here, if I can. Okay. So let's go with, we got bent grass. Make sure I don't have anything else.
Is it bent grass?
Yeah, I mean, that's what it seems like. I mean, I popped it up here, and it says the greens at Royal Portrush are primarily bent grass.
Wow.
So at least that's what it's telling me. The greens at Royal Portrush are predominantly made up of bent grass, which is a common type of grass. No, I don't,
Now, is it saying it's bent grass with Poana, or just bent grass?
Let's see. Okay, let's see. Open Championship, Royal Portrush, the first cut. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not.
Well, bent grass is good. It doesn't do it. They don't like to keep the bent grass very wet, but if it's going to rain, it doesn't really matter.
Okay. All right. So these are bent grass now over the last 24 rounds. Now, we can't use live golfers. They don't have live golfer stats. The only live golfer stats they have are stats basically from when they played here. So they're only going to go with the majors.
Okay.
So we can't really use those. So last 24 rounds, bent grass. Let's see. These are the best players, putters. This is 24 rounds. So we've got Sam Burns, which is no surprise, at the top. McIlroy is 6th. McIntyre's 10th. Scheffler's 11th. Fitzpatrick is 12th. Fleetwood 16. By the way, Ryan Fox is my long shot pick at 90-1. I figured, what the heck? He's got 2 wins.
That's probably a good pick because he's used to these conditions too.
Yes. Yeah, you knew it was a matter of time before he was going to start winning here, because that's really what he did on the European tour. He was one of those golfers. I don't know who would be a good comparison to, but there's certain golfers that are not always in the top 10 and not always in the top 20, but they'll still win quite a bit. They just know how to win, and that's right. Fox. That's what Fox did in Europe, and now he's doing it on the PGA
and he
Tour.
did it in Australia. So yeah.
Yeah. So so that's why there's golfers that know how to win and some that don't. But he knows how to win. Okay, so that's just 24 rounds. So let's just see last 12. Make sure. Okay, last 12. Ryan Fox.
Wow.
There's McIlroy 3rd. Okay, Fitzpatrick is 12th.
I mean, McIlroy is except that he's not driving it great. But I guess the good thing is that you're only going to drive it half the time. He's probably a pretty good long iron player to get it in play, but he wants it so badly. I don't know if he can do it. There's a difference in being comfortable and being home, but everybody, including the PGA Tour, want him to win so badly that it's an awful lot of pressure.
All right, and here are the top players. The last 8 rounds on bent grass. McIntyre's okay. Hatton's not very good. Hovland, not very good. But again, like you said, this is definitely not at the top of the list when it comes to the key stats, especially because putting is such a streaky stat anyway. You just have to have a good week putting.
Well, I mean, bent green, everybody wants to play on bent greens, but it can't be hot weather. That's why in Florida, they try it and then it doesn't work. The PGA used to insist on bent greens in Texas and down south, and they finally got tired of having to redo their greens every year, that they just, the warm weather grasses, the Bermudas are better.
Okay, so let's just wrap up with the picks.
Okay.
Oh, by the way, team tee times. Do you think a tee time will matter at all?
I think it does. I think early late is a favorite. I think when it's the majors, you want to put your score on. You want to get out to a good start. If you play late early and you see the scores low, and it puts a lot of pressure on the fact that if you make a lot of mistakes, you've got to come back and make something happen really good on the next day on the early, so that you make the cut. Because in a major, the number one thing you have to do first is not lose the tournament or the championships, which means you've got to make the cut first. And that's where Rory went wrong the first time around. He hit it out of bounds on the second hole, and got off to a horrible start, and he couldn't recover. But he actually played early late. So I still, as much as I played well on late early. I mean, I looked at my stats and I actually played better on late early. I prefer early late, because if you get a good round going, now if you get off to a bad start, it's hard because you're going to finish on the worst of the conditions. And a lot's going to depend on the weather. It's going to rain, but you can't ever tell when it's going to rain. They keep saying it's going to be a wet week, but how do you know what that means? The weather comes in so quickly in Ireland anyway. So I still like early late. I think people that post them, I'd like to see the stats one day of who wins the most tournaments on an early late or a late early.
That would be nice. Okay, so these are the tee times right now. So, by the way, Nikolai Højgaard is now starting to pick up his game.
Hmm.
He's starting to play his best golf again. So he might be a long shot to keep an eye on, especially if he gets off to a good start. So these are
What
the
about
early.
Ludwig? Ludwig's a good iron player.
Okay, so let's see. These are the really early ones. Penge seems like a very interesting golfer. Boy, he's got a
Yeah.
nice power game to him. He's
Yeah.
playing some really good golf. Too young, of course, I think, to win this event. There's Pendrith and Jason Day early. Let's see. DJ cares more about excess right now than golf. Let's see. Dietrich may not be a bad long shot. He's early.
Yeah, and he's Europe.
Okay, let's see. Wow, they don't have any. Well, I guess it's still early. Matsuyama has not had a good year. Everybody thought he was going to have a big year after winning the first event of the year, but he has not played well. There's Matt Fitzpatrick. He's playing early, and Fox. They're playing early. Let's see. Straka's playing early. Ben Griffin's had a huge year. Sam Burns, unfortunately, couldn't close the U.S. Open.
Well, that was that bad ruling. He lost his temper, and he did get a wrong ruling.
You know, I said this at the time. I said it the next day when I was doing golf, and I'm just honestly, I know they're going to go back, but I'm so turned off by that golf course. Is that what you want? You think people want to see? Seriously, nobody wants to see that.
Well, they made it. You don't have to do that to that golf course. You don't have. You know, it's hard enough golf course. You didn't have to trick it up. You don't have to trick up that golf course. And I thought they did a very poor job of making it where if you missed the green by 2 feet, you were dead in the bunker. I mean, these are the best in the world, and if they can't get it close or get it out, there's something wrong. That's poor design.
Let's see. Schauffele, there's the U.S. Open champ, and there is John Rahm. So this would be an interesting 10 a.m. tee time grouping pairing. There's Scheffler. He gets off early enough with Lowry and Morikawa. Wyndham Clark is starting to play a little bit better, but he's still not playing well. But he is a big number. I think he's like 100-1. So
wow,
I think that's worth $1. There's
definitely.
Patrick Reed. By the way, your Matty Schmid sure seems like he's starting to get close to winning now.
Yeah.
You talked about you said he was a breakout player, I think, when we were talking in 2023. So I think he's getting there now. All right, now we get all the rest of the guys before the transition. Is Monacero in the middle. All right, then we're going to get to the afternoon. So there's Scott at 12:10 with Ricky. That'll be a nice pairing to follow.
Mm-hmm.
Ricky plays well at the Open. This is a good major for him. Sergio, I'm sure Sergio would much rather trade his Masters for the Open Championship. Do you believe that?
Yeah, I would. Yeah.
Yeah. And who would have thought? I mean, everybody would have guessed if Sergio would have won a major, it would have been the Open Championship, not the Masters.
Right.
So he's playing well.
He is playing well.
It's surprising that he hasn't contended at any of these. You know, you would think as well as he's playing that he would contend well this week.
I know. And he might. You know, you never know.
He's a big dog. He's like 100-1. So he's a big number. Maybe even more than that. Let's see. Who else? There's Berger, Bradley. Thigala's done nothing. Harmon won a couple of years ago. Neiman needs to start playing better in majors.
Yeah. I mean, he's playing really well on the Live Tour.
Yep. He keeps winning. That's all he does is win over there. And he just can't translate that to the majors.
I think the problem is it's the course, the weather's going to hurt him.
Henley will be playing in the afternoon on Thursday with Tyrrell Hatton and Minwoo.
Ooh.
So that's a nice grouping there to follow. Ooh, how about this one? McIntyre, 2 of my picks. Rose and McIntyre sandwiched between has no chance DeChambeau.
Oh, Bryson's going to kill me if he ever hears that.
Yeah, well, if he contends, yeah. But if he loses, oh, what can he say?
Well, he might listen to me. He was too short on the way back. His backswing was bad. He was.
There's Hovland playing in the afternoon with Oberg and Spieth.
Ooh, that's a good pairing.
So Hovland gets the afternoon. There's Tommy with McIlroy and JT.
Oh, that's going to hurt Tommy.
Yeah, why is that?
Well, because playing with he's playing with McIlroy, right?
Yep, and JT, yeah.
Well, JT's easy enough to play with, but they're both really long hitters, and then it's going to make it hard for him because he doesn't hit it that far. So he's going to try to, he's either going to be smart enough to play his own game, or he's going to try to, rip it hard. And he's the best thing about his new coach has got him hitting this 3/4 like a hold follow through, and it's stopping the ball from hooking. And so when he does that shot, he's great. But playing with those two, he might try to get out there and hit some of those, and then he'll hit the big hook. So that's going to hurt his chances playing with those guys. The pressure of playing with those two, even though they're, and Rory and him are friends, but it's still going to be too hard to play with them. With all the gallery for Rory, he's going to not be a favorite.
Yeah, Tommy, I think psychologically has to get off to a good start. But he is, as you mentioned, and we've seen this before plenty of times, especially over in Europe, he can come from absolutely nowhere on a Sunday.
Yeah.
And shoot like a 63 or a 64 and win events. So he knows how to do that. He's had some good Sundays in the U.S. as well, but it's so psychological with him right now. He just hasn't won enough for somebody who's always in contention.
Right. And plus he really didn't have a good year this year until the last part of the year. And then he started to play well. But like he said, the reason he choked, he said, I choked because I haven't been there in so long that I just got so nervous. You could see how nervous he was. He was really nervous. Yeah,
there was no reason in the world to lose on that 18th up one.
That was
no
worst
reason.
Bogey. I mean, he's in the fairway. All he's got to do is hit, 9-9 on the green, and he hit it fat.
Yep.
And then he 3-putted from the fringe.
Yep.
He didn't even go close to hitting he had about a 4.5 footer for it to go into a force a playoff. And he didn't even touch the hole. Didn't even go close to touching the hole. He shoved it straight right.
I think Nick Taylor is someone to keep an eye on. He's a big long shot.
Who?
Nick Taylor.
Oh, yeah, the Canadian.
Yep.
He's playing well.
Yep, he's playing well. And that's the one thing that that the stats do tell you, that especially because it's later in the year, that having a win is important when you look at previous Open Championships, like in the last 15 or something like that. That a lot of them have wins, and some have 2 wins, and that makes sense because it's late in the year.
Right. I mean, you've got to be playing well. You can't be trying to find your game when it's bad weather.
Yeah.
Every time we'd go to Japan in October and November, and if you didn't feel like you were playing well, because you knew you were going to be playing in the rain and bad weather, and you didn't have your caddy, because in those days they wouldn't let you bring your caddy, so you're on your own out there, and if you and there's no time for driving range hitting in Japan, so you can't be finding your game when you're overseas. You have to come with it.
Tony Finau. Actually, Tony is very good at the courses that are considered the most similar to Portrush, but unfortunately, he's just not played well. We haven't seen him at the top of the leaderboard in forever. But it would have been if he had been playing better, he would be a sleeper pick here, because this is a good golf course for him.
I agree, but he's putting horrible right now, so you can't. You've still got to make the putts.
Yep. Tom Kim is starting to play a little bit better, but he's still nowhere near the game he had just about a year ago. He's also lost his game a little bit.
Yeah, plus he's trying to hit it further. He's got a coach.
Oh, is that the reason? Okay.
Yeah, he's trying to hit it further, and so they're trying to make all these changes. But, the best part of his game was that he was just pure, and he had a great short game. But and plus, he grew up in Australia, so he's used to windy conditions. But he doesn't hit it far enough.
Okay, so quickly the picks. If you were going to take Scheffler, McIlroy, or Rahm, knowing the picks, you're obviously getting the better odds with Rahm. Would you take Rahm? You're getting 12-1 with Rahm, but you're only getting 4-1 with Scheffler and 7-1 with McIlroy. I'm taking Rahm. I know Jared took Rahm, but who would you take?
I'm going Rory.
You're going to go Rory out of the three. Okay. Then let's see. There's Tommy at 28-1. There's Victor. Victor's got a really good number at 30-1, just like Hatton. Oberg has not had the season we expected. I know he had a win, but he just hasn't really played that well. He'll have a couple of good rounds, and then he just doesn't really close well. So
I agree.
I've been disappointed by his season. Morikawa is another one that it's right here in his head. He just winning is just and that's strange, but it just shows you how even a player who's got multiple majors can be in his head when it comes to he hasn't won in a while, and every time he gets close to winning, something happens. So
well, you know what I think? I think the PGA is making the golf courses too long.
Okay.
We talked about that last time, that when you make the courses that long, you eliminate a Tom Kim, a Morikawa, some of the shorter hitters that are really good ball strikers, Tommy Fleetwood, and you narrow the people that can win. When you make the courses that long, then you're giving it to a Scheffler, you're giving it to a Rory, You're giving it to the long hitters, and I think that's a big mistake.
So that's why I don't mind some of the setup at Oakmont based on the fact that it just did wipe away a lot of the power hitters, because they're hit as soon as they hit in the rough, they're done. But it has to be like a go-between somewhere where you can say, hey, if you're not accurate, then that's going to hurt you, but it's not going to take you completely out of the event, which it did to those guys.
Well, that's what the pros were saying. It's okay to be in a fairway bunker or in a bunker to test your skill, but not to be chipping it out sideways.
Yeah. McIntyre, I think that's a good number at 40. Straka, I think that's a good number at 50 for someone who's won twice. And by the way, he was second in the British Open just 2 years ago.
Actually, Straka to me is a pretty good pick.
Yeah, he hasn't had much success in majors, but the second 2 years ago was his best, clearly, by far. And he also was seventh at the 2023 PGA. Which I believe is also considered a course that is not that dissimilar from Royal Portrush. And he's coming off a seventh at the Scottish Open.
I like Straka. I think he's in my top 10.
Fitzpatrick, I think you're getting a great number here at 55-1.
I agree
with the way he's playing. And I picked him first this week because I like to go with guys that made me money when I picked him. And he made me money when I picked him when he won the US Open. So he's starting to play better. And so you made me money. I'll put more money on you now. Yeah. And I think it's good timing for Ryan Fitzpatrick. Now, he hasn't won this year. He hasn't won in a while, but I don't think that's going to matter as much, but we'll see. I mean, he didn't play as good as I thought he was going to play on Sunday. And, but maybe that was good for him to get into the flow of things.
You don't want to be too close to the week before, because then it wears you out. Makes you, the stress on Sundays is pretty tiring. So I think it's good that he kind of backed off a little bit.
Henley is 65-1. Let's see.
Yeah, you said that's one of Jared's.
Yes, that is his long shot play, which I like. Again, I think it's a great play. He's playing excellent golf. We saw the stats that were number one on Jan's board. I forget which round, 8, 12 out, but still, it's good, really good. So Henley, with Henley for sure, because he's had some success in majors, but he's had some, he's been hit or miss. So he really needs to get off to a good start. If he does, he could be dangerous.
But he also doesn't need to be leading.
No, we don't want to see that.
He's another one that needs to come from him, and Tommy Fleetwood need to come from behind.
Yeah. There's Justin at 75-1. There's Adam at 80-1. Reed at 80-1. We talked about Fox. It's my long shot at 90. Jason, just Jason it's so amazing how I don't think people who probably haven't been following golf, say for more than 5 years, remember how good Jason was that one year when he just was amazing.
I agree, but he's so hit and miss.
Yeah.
You know, I took him in one of the one and dones and he missed the cut and he played great the week before. And that's so crazy.
Something's just not right about his game for someone that was that good. I don't know. And we used to always just think it was injuries and health, but he's been healthy pretty much for the past year or so.
He's got, I love his facilities where he practices. He's got a property and he's got his own chipping area, green, all of that kind of stuff. But he's got a lot of kids. He has a lot of responsibility. What about Cameron Young?
We just passed him. He was at 75, I think, 80.
He's the type that could sneak in and do it when no one's paying attention. Again, he can't be leading.
No, that's for sure. Yeah, I don't what was it? The Canadian Open, which he completely choked off. I mean, I don't know if did you recall him when he hit the ball over the green on the 18 and he was in the little bit of rough that he was there in the back end of the green, and I'm watching his stroke and it's like he's way back. I'm like, why is he just there's hardly even the swing is not even it doesn't look like it's that long. It looks like it's a very short swing for someone who's that far away from even reaching the green. And sure enough, he hits the ball and he doesn't even reach the green. Well,
he gets so nervous. And again, the pressure is on him to win. I mean, he's hits the ball a million miles. He's not a great putter. If you're going to hit the ball a long way, you've got to be a good putter.
Yeah, Cam has had some success. I forget what kind of putting he's had most success on. I don't know if it's bent, Bermuda, but there is a greens that he actually has done relatively well on.
Well, he grew up on bent greens, so he should be used to those up in New York area.
Okay, maybe that's it. All right, let's see. Let's wrap up. By the way, who would have thought Hideki would be 90-1 when the year began? Keegan is at 100-1. Cameron Smith has not played well on LIV this year. No. And that's translated. He's not done well at all in the majors this year. It's 110-1. There's Minwoo. There's Spawn, the U.S. Open champ. Brian Harman, 120. Clark, 130-1. Wyndham Clark.
Wow.
That shows you how off his game is.
Oh, I still think he's a good pick for that.
Yeah, for that amount, throw a buck or two on him. Why not?
Yeah.
I mean, heck. Again, I think these long shots here, if you're going to look for a JJ Spawn type of player, Nikolai at 150, Taylor at 150, Penge is 160, Garcia's at 170. Ricky, again, he plays well at the
no, I wouldn't pick him.
But Ricky's off his game. That's the problem.
Well, he just had his second kid, so. And Jordan Spieth just had his third, so they've got little babies.
Is it? See, I mean, and that's the thing is that both of them were on top of their games when they were single. Big surprise. Thurston Lawrence, who for some reason keeps playing well in big events every once in a while. Thomas Dietrich's at 200-1. And let's see. There's Maddie at 3.
Do they have win, place, and show just like they do in races?
Well, they've got top. You can like top 5. There are matchups, and I'm sure you can find a site that will say, "Hey, if you finish in second or third, they're out there. You can just find them." So yeah, but nothing like. I mean, sometimes they'll do even crazy stuff where, hey, you take 2 players to finish first or second. I mean, you can find so many different props out there if you look hard enough. So yeah, it's not hard to find, but it's not. I mean, I think most people do like actually doing the top 5 or the top 10s. Yes, you lose odds. Like for instance, if you take a player like that we talked about, like let's say Wyndham Clark, you can get 8-1 on Wyndham just to finish in the top 10.
Oh wow!
So 8-1 is not bad for the top 10.
No, I agree.
So I think it matters more with these longer shots. If you like a longer shot, then why not take both the win bet and also throw a top 10 in there.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's I know a lot of the guys nowadays, that's what they like to do. So I mean, Brady Cannon, who was with us earlier this year, loves to do top 10s. All right. So anyway, Jan, I appreciate your time as always.
Yep.
Where are you off to? I know it's going to be a boring day for you today, but you're still playing, which I think is great. So are you going to be playing anytime soon? Anywhere?
I may play Toledo. We used to play Toledo years ago, and then they're bringing us back with the Futures Tour. So we're supposed to be mentoring the Futures Tour, but doesn't seem like they ever want any help. But I'm going to play all the team events. I'll definitely play BJ's. I love BJ's up at Cape Cod, and I'm questioning about whether I'm going to play the Open, the Senior Open.
Okay. And when is that?
Well, it's in August, but it's all the way in San Diego, and they only take 50 in ties for the cut instead of 60 in ties. And then they allow so many of the top amateurs to play that, I think it should be top 50 in ties of pros, because last time I missed the cut by a shot and 10 of the top amateurs made it, and they sent me a check because they didn't take the money, but I'd have rather played the weekend. And so there's some issues they have to fix yet.
Well, when was that?
That was it's Pine Needles in Pinehurst.
How long ago was that?
2 years ago.
Okay.
3 years ago.
Well, just the fact that you're playing is great.
Yeah, it is. I'm very happy.
Yes. So we're really delighted to hear that. And the playoffs are the next big thing, but it is a Ryder Cup year. So that's going to be pretty big. So I'm sure at some point, and who knows, maybe even at some point in the next couple of days, like we did with the Masters, because the last time we spoke, we had a couple of different talks that week with Rory and his amazing Masters win. So if we get some big drama this week, maybe I'll reach out to you to see what's going on. And I think what's also great about the Open Championship week, which I love, that it's only once a year too, is that you get to do it early in the morning.
Yeah.
That's the first thing. You wake up, you watch golf, and it's over early, which is also kind of cool, which is why I never understand the whole idea why people think that people in California, you need to, move the times to make it easier for them. It's like, why? If I was out in California, I'd love to just wake up and start watching sports.
Exactly.
I don't know why you have to wait until later in the day. But anyway, so hopefully we'll talk again if things really start heating up later this week. So you want to subscribe to our channel just in case, and make sure that you follow us here. And then hopefully if we don't talk to you later this week, maybe we'll talk again before the end of the year with the playoffs and the Ryder Cup.
Sounds good.
All right. Thanks, Jan.
I love it. Okay.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Goodbye, everybody.